Hey Neek, I wanted to share a story about you that I think really encapsulates you well. I remember I was walking over to get like our second meal together, I think, and we were getting the meal in Franklin, and I was like 5 minutes late, and I walked into the dining hall, and I saw you talking with a police officer, and the conversation that you were having was so bizarre to me. Not because it was a bizarre conversation to have, but it's one that I like fully wouldn't expect anyone to have with a police officer. Like you were asking him about his family and how they were doing, and he was talking. You were talking to him about where your plans were, where you wanted to settle down after Yale, um, and I don't know. I think that walking in on that conversation and seeing how open you were with someone, at least I would never feel comfortable being open with. It really showed me how um, full-hearted and open you are with people, and how willing you are to share your happiness and share your joy, and share your time. Uh, you're silly and you're hilarious, but you're also just really, really warm-hearted. And I'm really glad that we got to get those two meals in Franklin, and then you introduced me to the wonder that is BBQ. Uh, I hope that we get more chances to get BBQ together.
So I actually knew Nick was from Georgia before I met him, and so my first thought was, oh my gosh, he went to a rival high school. He was valedictorian. Wow. Do I know him? But I didn't, so that's kind of sad. But anyways, I think there's so many great things about Nick, and what I want to share about Nick today is that he's just so supportive as a person. If you get to know Nick, you'll notice that he has kind of like a self-deprecating sense of humor sometimes, where he'll bring himself down, but he never fails to bring other people up and encourage them and support them in anything and everything that they do. And he's always looking to butter you up and make you feel good about yourself. For example, I remember just like out of the blue, I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, do you want to get a meal?" And I was like, "Which dining hall?" And he's like, "Oh no, we're not going to a dining hall. We're going to Bonchon." And then he just spent $40 on me, and definitely it was like something that made me feel like, wow, he really cares about me and all the time and effort to spend with me. And I think just generally for everybody, Nick is the type of person who, if you ask to spend time with him, he'll literally block out the entire day for you. No matter if he has like five pieces to do the next day, no matter if he just pulled an all nighter, he'll always make time for you. And I think that's just something super admirable in a person. As for impression, Nick does a lot of kind of strange things, but I think for me, sometimes he'll just like take off his glasses maybe, and then he'll just like stare at you for a long time and kind of like go in and then make this like really exaggerated wink. I don't know if that's just like for me, and I'm supposed to keep that private, but yeah. But yeah, that's my impression of Nick.
Yeah, my first impression of Nick is pretty traditional, I guess, because Nick was my frosh pod leader. Yeah, I think he was really composed and soft, but like well spoken too. Very like older brother type of feel. Affirmation. I think Nick has a really big heart for service. Yeah, I think he doesn't hesitate when there is an opportunity to help someone. Yeah, for example, we were in Korean class together, and he would do the dishes like after every single English table on Fridays, and no one wants to do the dishes on a Friday afternoon after just eating a bunch of Korean food. But yeah, I think Nick always steps up to do something that other people don't want to do, and sometimes that's could be a really bad thing for him, but it's a trait that I really admire. Imitation. 머리대.
Hi, Nick. My first impression of you was that you were a nice man. You just came up to me, I think, during some first year event and was like, "Hi, I'm Nicholas Chang, Benjamin Franklin College." And I was like, "Wow, what a nice guy." But unfortunately, how far from the truth that was. You are a bully, but I mean that in the fondest way. And you of all people would know, because our friendship is built on memeing around, being mean to each other, but not really meaning it. And when I say not really meaning it, I really do mean not really meaning it. And I just have such fond memories of us walking back from anywhere on campus back to the new colleges, because that was its own truck of its own, and that always sparked different conversations. I remember coming to you really sad first year. I remember coming to you really happy throughout the rest of the years. But you were so accepting of me being vulnerable in a way that I really appreciated, and in a way that I really cherish. And so I will miss you. I'm sad that you're leaving, but also, as much as you will hate it, I won't let you disappear off the face of the earth. So, I will find you, Nicholas J. And that is a threat. But thank you for being my friend. Thank you for giving me so many things to cherish. And congrats on graduating.
So my first impression of Nick was at the cheesecake baking event for Frosh Pod during my first year. And he was one of the first people I met and said hi to because I was new to Frosh Pod. Someone else had brought me to the event after persuading me to go, and he was one of the first people I met. I didn't know he was one of, or didn't register when he introduced himself that he was one of the leaders, like that he was leading Frosh Pod. But I met him, and so I thought, wow, this is a really reliable and dependable senior. Like, I thought he was a senior. And then when he told me he was a junior, I was like, oh, I thought you were a senior. And I remember his face, it was like first it was shock, like, how could you do this to me? And then afterwards his face was sort of like, I'm done with you. And I was like, this is one of the first people I've met, and within the first couple of seconds he's telling me that he's done with me. Or he didn't say it, but I was thinking, okay, I'm done, like, he's done with me. But Nick is just like such a nice person, and my wish, or like my aspirations, my wishes for him in the future is just that he's able to be happy. I think for me, my wish for him is really simple. I feel like Nick is someone who's just so giving, and he like gives so much, but I don't know if he's able to receive a lot. I feel like most of the time, maybe because because I was in like the frosh put that he was leading, and also just because I'm an underclassman and he's my upperclassman, he might have done like a lot of giving to me. But I feel like in general, like, Nick is always someone who's giving a lot, and when he receives something, he's just like so happy over it and so thankful. And so I just hope that as like in the future for him, he's able to receive a lot, he's able to receive a lot of love, that he's able to be happy with his circumstances, with what he has, and that he has reason to be happy for it.
Hi Nick, my first impression of you wasn't that great, but it's okay because you made up for it for the past 2 years. My first impression of you was during TNLG, probably my very first one as a first year, and afterwards you were complaining about one of your music classes to me, which got me even more confused. My affirmation for you is you're just an amazing friend to me, and I feel like I can just text you whenever I want to and know that you won't judge me, and that I feel really accepted. And here's my imitation of you. Every time John says something stupid, says something strange, yeah? Who are you?
First impression of Nick? Guitar master. I remember 2 summers ago when you led Summer God Pod. I remember listening to you teach and just being struck with the impression that you were so wise. I remember you teaching so eloquently and with such enthusiasm. Like I remember the brightness in your eyes. And Nick, I just encourage you to continue teaching and explaining God's word with that passion.
Hi, Nick. This story is overtold, but I still very vividly remember when you first came to my dorm my first year, delivering cookies for another Christian ministry, and series of random events that followed that eventually led me to UCW and forever changed my life. So thank you for that. I think over the years I've just witnessed how much you serve others and the community humbly, and with such like a wide heart, without seeking your own, like, I don't know, reputation or valid or affirmations. And I know you like to say like, oh, like I don't have emotions, whatever. I'm like degenerate neek. But in the end, I think everyone can see that you have such a warm heart. And I have seen your soft side that I can never unsee, so you cannot pretend like that anymore. But I really am excited for you in your next leg of journey, and to see how you continue to grow in Christ. So yeah, until next time we see each other, before we see each other in the kingdom.
Okay, this one's for Nick. Neek. Okay. My first impression, I was definitely from Frosh Pod. I think I thought that Nick was very calm, maybe because he was so mellow. Later I found out he is like pretty calm, but not in the way I expected him to be. Yeah. My favorite memory was probably splitting apples together at winter retreat. Yeah. But yeah, altogether, I really appreciate Nick for being so honest and straightforward all the time. Like, he never postures or tries to sugarcoat things. Yeah, I think in all of the conversations I've had with him, I just like hearing his perspective on school life and UCW and like and anything really. It's like it's very refreshing to hear. Yeah. So I hope you're doing well and good luck with your job. I'm sure you will do well also. Yeah. I don't think I have any imitations.
One of the first couple times that I met Nick was in the Berkeley Buttery, and I just remember if I had to describe him in one word, I would use the word bouncy. I saw him in the Berkeley Buttery, and he was just bouncing up and down around the pool table, helping, I can't remember who, with their CS50P set, and it was just really encouraging to see him be so energetic and cheerful to help others. And just wanted to appreciate you for all the stuff you've done for UCW, from teaching GodPod to doing all this stuff for worship team, and just for being so real during the men's hangouts on Saturdays, those real conversations, and just for being you. It's always so encouraging to see your joyfulness in anything and everything you do, especially when you worship. One of the highlights of Winter Retreat this year was just to see you like lead on set, just like bounce up and down. Sometimes I wouldn't even feel it, but when I saw you, it just kind of made me a bit more jumpy inside. Especially the day before spring break started this year. Man, that was like a month ago. But just like I was sitting down in a chair, long day at the worship night, and you were just on the ground, knees down, just focused on the Lord, and that was just really encouraging to see. I hope that you keep that. Thank you for all the wisdom you've imparted to me. It's truly been a blessing to get to know you. When you make it out big in Silicon Valley, be sure to hit me up. I'm always down for those bubble tea deep conversations. Best of luck, Nick. Thank you.
The first time I met Nick, as he reminded me because I forgot, was at one of the first YSC TNTs my freshman year. And yeah, it was at the church that ECV is in. And I remember meeting him because he was one of Reb's friends and I knew Reb's coming in. And I just thought he was a really friendly upperclassman. And yeah, okay, something I really appreciate. I think Nick is such a caring friend. He really says what he means and means what he says, and I've just been really moved by how willing he is to just drop everything and listen when I had something on my mind or when something was stressing me out, and how patient he was with me, just trying to work through it and just hold space for me. So I think that's something that I really appreciate about Nick. Yeah, I have so many random memories and funny stories to share, but one random one that stands out was I think it was sophomore spring or sophomore winter. It was one of the last days of the semester, and we met on the corner of York Street and Elm Street? Yeah, York and Elm, just to say bye. And then we were just like standing on the street corner and just like moving around, and then we see Esther across the street. I think she was walking to Kevin's place and she had just finished her final or something. And then we just started making fun of her across the street, and then we were like, "You're loitering my eyes." And then we just were like shouting to each other from across the street for like 10 minutes until she got tired of us and just went to Kevin's. But that was, yeah, such a funny random memory that I have that I think I'll remember for a long time.
I am personally so thankful for the class of 2020. Whether they know it or not, they've made a huge impact on my life and my faith journey. And it's not necessarily because of anything that they did for me directly, and they've done a lot. It's just more the ways in which they emulated Christ in the day-to-day, and it's that same steadfast faithfulness which continues to inspire and encourage me to this day. This is a class that strove to make UCW a more inclusive and Christ-centered community, a class that actively embodied servant leadership, a class that still so earnestly yearns to know Christ and make Him known. With all that said, I just want to say it's been an absolute honor and privilege and joy to be here with you all for the past 4 years. You'll be deeply and dearly missed, but this is not the end. So remember that, and God bless. 어색하게 hello 오늘 뭐 했는지 물어봐 깜깜한 밤을 같이 걸으며 좀 떠들다가 내 손 잡아달래 주워 안아달래